Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be learning about tone and mood using two different texts. I hope you're all excited because tone and mood is a very interesting topic. Before we get started, I'm going to display a chart on the whiteboard that talks about tone and mood. I'm going to call on each one of you and I want you to tell me anything that you know about tone or mood. When you guys are telling me your answers, I'm going to type them onto our charts. So this is the chart that we're going to use. It says tone and mood. Can you guys please tell me what you know about tone and mood? Charlie, we're going to start with you. So you think mood is something that someone is feeling. That can be correct. Chelsea, what do you think tone is? The way something is said. That is also correct. Does anybody else have any other ideas about mood or tone? Okay, Kelsey, yes, a mood can be somebody's emotion. And what about for tone? Okay, Michael, what else do you think that tone is? Correct. Tone can represent the way someone is feeling. So I'm going to give you all a more official definition of what tone and mood can mean. So the classical definition of tone is the way the author feels about a subject, or the way an author feels about how a character should feel about a certain situation. So, a tone focuses on the author's opinion about how someone or something should feel. On the other hand, the mood of a text is how the reader emotionally reacts to what they have read. So, it doesn't have to do with the author, but it all comes from the reader and what the reader is feeling. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to do an example of a tone and mood chart using the text The Three Little Pigs with you all. Before I do an example of that, I'm going to show you the chart that we are going to use. Okay, so here's the chart that we're going to use today in class, and I'm going to model it first for you using the story of the Three Little Pigs. So as you can see, our chart has two headings, and that reads device, which means it can either be mood or tone because these are two literary devices. Our other column reads evidence, which is where we are going to state evidence from the text that tells us what the mood and tone is of the story. So we're going to read an excerpt from The Three Little Pigs, and it is going to be when the big bad wolf is blowing down a house. So we're going to read the right side of the page. Little pig, let me come in, said the hungry wolf. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin, said the frightened little pig. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in, growled the wolf. As the wolf inhaled deeply, his lungs filled up like two balloons. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is think about the text that I just read and how I can use it to fill out my tone and mood chart. So I'm going to look at the words, look at the illustrations in the picture to try to figure out how the wolf is feeling. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the mood. So we're going to take a look at the mood that may be evoked from reading that excerpt of The Three Little Pigs. So remember, the mood is how the reader feels. So after reading that passage, I feel a little scared. And in addition to being scared, I also feel a little sad. And the reason that I feel this way is I'm scared because the wolf is threatening to ruin the pig's house. And you can see this here when he says, I'll blow your house in, and he says growled. So if a wolf was growling at me, I would definitely feel scared, and I feel sad because the little pig will lose his house. So as you can see, I use the text to help me figure that out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type into the evidence column why I feel that the mood is sad and scared. So I'm just basically going to write in what I had just talked through with you guys. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to take a look at here is we're going to look at the tone. So remember, the tone is how the author wants the characters to feel, and it's how the author may feel about a certain situation or opinion. So in this case, the author really wants to express the tone of being angry and frustrated. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another look at the text to try to figure out how we can make an inference about why the tone is angry and frustrated. So the first thing I notice is that the author is using a lot of exclamation points and is saying things like the frightened pig, the wolf growled, the hungry wolf. And if the wolf is growling and huffing and puffing and is yelling, we can assume that he is quite angry and very frustrated, because normally a person, if they're angry or frustrated, they may act similar to the wolf, and they may want to do things that will harm others, and they may be yelling at another person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type down my evidence to why I think the tone is angry and frustrated. So we know because the wolf wants to destroy something, so we can sense a frustration from that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to review our chart quickly. So we said our mood was scared and sad because the wolf threatens the pig to destroy the pig's house, and then the wolf growls at the pig. And we know that the tone is angry and frustrated because the author writes the wolf wanting to destroy something. So now you guys are going to have a turn at filling out your own chart. Okay, so now that we all have a better idea of what tone and mood is, and we know how to fill out a tone and mood chart, I'm going to have you all fill out your own chart with the assistance of me. So the book we're going to use to fill out our tone and mood chart is called Because Your Daddy Loves You by Andrew Clements. Now, we've been studying Andrew Clements for the past month in school, and today we're going to use one of his books to figure out the tone and mood. And once we figure out the tone and mood, you guys are going to do a special project. It's going to be very cool. So let me just pass out a copy of each chart to you all, and then we'll get started. Okay, so now that you all have a chart, I'm going to read aloud the book Because Your Daddy Loves You by Andrew Clements. And while I'm reading, I want everyone to pay careful attention to the words that are being used in the book and the illustrations that are in the book. And if you see an example of tone or mood that you want to begin to fill out, please start filling out your chart. Because Your Daddy Loves You by Andrew Clements. When you wake up from a bad dream and you call out, "Daddy!" your dad could say, "Shh, just go back to sleep." But he doesn't. He comes to your room right away and sits beside you until you fall asleep again. When the car is packed for the beach and you can't find your other shoe, your daddy could say, "You should put things where they belong," but he doesn't. He helps you look all over for that shoe, and when he finds it under some dirty clothes, he puts it on your foot and ties it with a double knot. When your ball blows across the sand and into the ocean and starts to drift away, your daddy could say, "Didn't I tell you not to play too close to the waves?" But he doesn't. He wades out into the cold water and he brings your ball back to the beach and plays roll and catch with you. When you go for a walk along the beach and you get so tired that you can't take another step, your daddy could say, "It's getting late, we've got to keep moving." But he doesn't. He sits down beside you and shows you how to make a sandcastle with a river all around it. When you stop for ice cream on the way home and your cone makes a big gooey mess, your daddy could say, "Now look what you've done." But he doesn't. He finds a paper napkin and he gets it wet at the drinking fountain. He wipes off your mouth, then both of your hands, one sticky finger at a time. When you fall asleep in the car and it's late when you get home, your daddy could say, "Hey, wake up! Help me take all this stuff back into the house." But he doesn't. First, he carries you inside, and then goes back for the toys and the blanket and the picnic basket. When you ask for your favorite story after dinner, your daddy could say, We've read that old story over and over, but he doesn't. He finds the book and he starts at the very beginning and he reads every single word. When you ask for a piggyback ride to bed, your daddy could say, "Come on, old lazy bones, get up those stairs." But he doesn't. He swings you onto his back and marches up and up the stairs and drops you gently onto your bed and kisses you good night. And then your daddy could say, "See you tomorrow," or "Sleep tight," or "Sweet dreams." But he doesn't. He says, "I love you." Okay, so now that we have read Because Your Daddy Loves You and you all have a chance to hear it, I want you all to take about 10 minutes to start filling out your tone and mood chart, and then I'm going to show you the chart that I filled out and we will compare our answers. Okay, so now that you have all had about 10 minutes to fill in your own charts, we're now going to go over my tone and mood chart that I created for Because Your Daddy Loves You. So while we're going over this, if any of you don't have anything similar written on your chart or are missing something that I have, please feel free to add it to your own chart. So for the literary divisive mood, I said the mood of the story was love and kindness. And the reason for this is because the reader feels happy and warm after reading the story because the daddy always helps his daughter with whatever she needs and he never gets mad. So I said the tone of the book would be happiness because Andrew Clements writes the daddy saying things like "I love you" to his daughter. And he also does actions such as picking up her ball from the ocean or wiping her dirty shirt from ice cream. Also, Andrew Clements writes how the dad could get angry at his daughter, but instead he says, "But he doesn't." So now that we have read Because Your Daddy Loves You and we've learned about tone and mood and then have filled out a chart about the tone and mood for Because Your Daddy Loves You, it's time for you to apply the skills you've learned with your own assignment. So you all are going to write a letter to a loved one. And this could be a mom, dad, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandma, grandpa, or even sibling. And in your letter, you're going to write them a letter that focuses on the same mood and tone that you read about and discovered in Because Your Daddy Loves You. You will have the rest of the class period to work on this letter, and when you are done, you're going to hand it in to me.